Hey everyone, hold on. I got to help David figure out the difference between green and green. Okay, stop touching that bag because that's not shims. There's two bags right here, and they're both labeled. David's eating pizza that he hates, just to
You're
let
not
you
supposed
guys
to tell
know.
anybody.
So, we just spent 2 hours screwing with the lock mechanism over here on the MR6. Yeah, and there's our. People can't really see that. Let me do. I'll show you the problem. What happened? This guy is very small. This guy is part of the lock mechanism, and he goes up and down, and this is clearanced, so it allows the thing to rotate when you turn the key. So if he pops up, he hits against the wall and he doesn't let you rotate. So for some reason, this guy was still up, which means there's a big gap. The center hole in here has been worn down to the point where when you put a key in, it won't stay down. So this guy came out. Now the key works great. But the fun part was taking that entire mechanism apart, the cover, the cylinder itself, how to get the C-clip out, all of that. But now it works. You can also go into valet mode where it won't open with the latch inside. And here it opens just normal. So we have our trunk lock back, which is very good. I don't know what happened at pit race, but for some reason that little tab got shifted, damaged, whatever. But we weren't able to open the car. We would have to reach in through one of these holes, and all the way over here is a little bar, and you actually have to push that bar in order to unlock the trunk. It was a very big mess. So now we have keys back. We're in good shape. Is that you or me?
You tell everyone what happens when a little ball falls out of there. They have the pleasure of taking one.
Oh yeah. If anyone takes this apart, I'll kind of show you guys. In this top section, in this little round section right up here, you'll take this dust cap off. You'll take this dust cap and the little cover, the spring loaded cover off. Now, there's a C-clip back there to take that apart. Then the cylinder comes out in two sections. So you have the key cylinder with those little tabs that go up and down. And then you have the actual locking mechanism that opens and closes. On that locking mechanism, all the way in the back, is a very small ball, a little ball bearing. And that ball bearing, as soon as you take those apart, he will launch himself. Fortunately, I had it facing down, so he went to my feet and somewhere, but he's very, very tiny. He's got to be a 1 millimeter ball. It's very, very tiny, very hard to find. And we didn't know what part we had lost, et cetera, but we figured out all the key stuff. Then we went to put it back together and we're like, where the hell does this ball go? And we couldn't figure out where it went. We did figure out where it goes. It's part of the detent for this. When you turn the key, there's you can feel a little bump right there. A bump. And then it comes back and it goes into valet mode and it does a bump. So that was fun, but it's a big learning process, but now we know how to do it. And this is for the Mark II keys. Now for the Toyota MR2 Mark 1s, they have where'd the bag go? They have an entirely different key and lock mechanism. So yeah, this one is like considerably shorter, and he's got a different latching mechanism in the back here. He does not have the the extension. It also,
It's half the body.
he goes flush against the tail lights versus this one, which is inset in the tail lights. It's kind of hidden. Totally different between Mark 1 and Mark 2. So if you're buying parts, if you're buying taillights for your car, it's one of the big reasons between Mark 1 and Mark 2 taillights. You can do that. I just got a funny message. Uh, and so we got the latch stuff all taken care of, and now we can actually use that. If we really want to rebuild the lock, we can. Right now, it works great, and we're pretty happy with it. So it'll work awesome. The other thing we got today were the parts for the CVs, and these are what we got. These shims, and these are the 2mm shims, and these are the ones we're going to be using in the car. These are actually, I think there's one out already. So these are our 2mm shims. They're about as thick as a credit card. Not too bad. And these are going to go on our CVs. Why would you grab the grossest one out there?
First one on the floor.
It's like a brand new one right there. So here's our CV joint. And the problem we had was the distance between here and the locking nut was pretty, it was too much. So we needed to shorten that up. And the best way to do that is with a shim. So we found shims that fit, and these guys will self-center because of the dust shield that this goes into in the hub. They'll be centered from that. They are solid steel, so they won't wear, and they'll be under constant pressure because these are torqued to 140 foot-pounds, so these things are not going to move at all. And even if they try to move, they can barely move to the edge of the dust shield. So these are going to work out perfect. The problem is we have to pull the axles out of the car in order to get these guys on there and get them set. So this is a 1 mil, and that's a 2 mil. So yeah, and now I have grease all over. So this guy will go back to the 1 mil. And this is a simple fix for something that we didn't know that we were going to encounter. This is something we've been running these CVs for the last couple of years and have never had an issue until now. The only thing we can come up with was our bearing is finally seated, and these CVs are too short, if you will. I guess they're technically too deep, so we need to make them a little bit shallower. The other option we have, and if we decide to keep doing this, is we'll do different axles, and those will be 23 spline axles, and they'll use a different CV, which doesn't require these. So the difference is for these guys to get shipped here. The other option is new axles, which is over $1,000. It takes about a week. So this should work a little bit better. This is our other 2 mil. And they only came in 10 packs. So I had to buy 10 of them, even though I only need 4. So I'm gonna get some of this grease off. I'm gonna raise the car up, and I'm gonna bring you guys in underneath so you can see what I'm doing, how to put these shims in. And this is something maybe other MR2 guys who've done the V6 swap, they might have this same issue because your axle distance, your axle geometry is going to change a little bit when you put that E153 transaxle in there. The geometry is going to change a little bit, so your axles are going to be need to be slightly longer because you're running. Oh, that's the heater. I was like, it's way too quiet for Hammond to be here. Your axle geometry is going to change the length, so that's also, I believe, part of this issue that we're trying to solve. But with everything clamped together, it really isn't. Just something to be aware of, something to take into account. So if you give me a minute, I'm going to raise the car up. I'm going to grab my Rockstar, and then I'm going to raise the car up and take you guys with me. And we really only have to do one of these. because they're pretty much the same on both sides. So we'll just do one of them tonight. It's the good stuff. And if you have any questions about anything that I'm doing here, please definitely send something in the chat, shoot me a message, whatever, and I will do my best to respond. So let's get the car raised up. Get this off of air. What? No, leave it.
Okay.
I need that battery charged. Where did I put it all away, didn't I? Okay. So we're going to use air to take the axle nuts off. It's going to be kind of loud, so I apologize for that. Can you grab me that 30 mil socket? That big ass socket right there, David, on the floor. Thanks. I don't know why I'm doing this before the wheels, but it doesn't take much. It's a big, huge axle nut. I'm going to set him right in front of you guys. And then I'm going to get the wheels off too. We'll just use electric for that. Yeah, on a Miata. Look at that. First guess, first time. And normally those axle nuts have cotter pins on them that you have to bend out of the way. That's one of the other differences in those CVs. Is the other ones have a hammer tab. So you hammer part of the nut and it stays in place. This one is a cotter pin, which I don't really have a preference. Whichever one you prefer. Just going to set that over there. These wheels are super light, so I don't mind taking them off when they're up nice and high. Set the wheel out of the way. Pro tip, so you don't lose your lug nuts. Just give them a couple of threads back on here. Now, here comes the fun part, is getting we have to push this back. There's actually a washer here. You can see that axle slide in a little bit. And there's a washer right here that goes with this nut. These been on a few times, off a few times. So we have to push this axle far enough back that we can get that shim on there. So what we'd really like to do is just pop this ball joint off, pop this control arm, trailing arm off, and this control arm, and then make sure David blinds me with the dark saber. And this way I can lift that out, slide the washer in place, and call it done. And then just put the hub back in place. So we have Brian's really nice paint marks here. We're going to have to get rid of those. Sorry. This is the easiest way to remove this. And then if we wanted to, we can also take this off. So it's actually probably just easier to do 1, 2, and 3. Those are the the 3 points. Also, you won't, once you do that, you won't have to change your alignment. You won't have to go get your alignment checked, which is always helpful. This is a 17. This is our custom bolt from the guys at Fox at Road Atlanta last year, which is really nice. And this is another 17. See, now this is where things get messed up. People put the 3/4 back with the 1/2 inch, the 1/2 inch back. So I'm going to get him loose. This. And then I'll zoom stuff out. With the electric. Just because it's a little quicker. Actually, it's a lot quicker. Yeah, there's a third light, or another light, I should say. It's actually right up underneath the car, dude. It's still under here. It's been here for a month at least. Oh, he's still green though. So, give me a halfway decent flat spot to attach him. Does that light help a little better for you guys? All right. So whoa, these little bushings fall out when you release all the tension. Now this arm is out of the way, and these are the 2 centering bushings. So we're going to keep him handy as well in our little parts area there. And then this guy, we will zoom out. And this is supposed to be captive, but it's okay. Okay. This guy has a little stopper on there, and that's for manufacturing. You can see the little stopper. When they put it all together, that helps them. They can just set it on there and zoom it really quick. Last one is going to be, I believe he's an 8mm. No, he's bigger than that. He's a 10 mil. Oh yeah. Every day. I gotta wake up and be this good every day. You guys know what a struggle that is? And then I think, yeah, we have a nut on the backside here. So, yeah, I gotta get a 17 or 19. It's 19. There's a 17. He's gonna be a 19. He's a big boy. He's a big boy. Yeah, the guys at Fox Motorsports in Atlanta, we had the captive nut on this side fail, and it destroyed the bolt. There were 2 other suspension components that were really loose, and this one took the brunt of it. And the guys at Fox Motorsports at Road Atlanta, like Friday night at, I don't even know, 10 o'clock at night, absolutely saved our bacon. We got the bad captive nut cut off, and they scored us this perfect nut and bolt at like 10 o'clock at night. So that was a huge deal. Thank you guys very much for that. That's why we have our Fox sticker on the side of the car. So now comes the fun part, is this comes down, and he has new bushings in there, which is always nice. And this guy will also come down, and now we can flex this and pull this out where we push this in. And our axle will come out. And I'll just rest him right there. So now we have our axle out and our 2mm shim is going to go in here. And then I'm just going to hold them in place. It's a lot harder when I'm trying to give you guys a nice view as well. So it's not. No, he does self-align. I'm gonna just try putting the hub nut on there. Oh yeah. So, and make sure he turns, and then we'll give him a quick zoom on. Make sure he turns. That socket has a lot of miles. Oh yeah. The play you're seeing is the brake rotors. But yeah, he spins super. Huh? No, that's about 110. So we're actually in really good shape. Now, just because I was testing, that's fine, whatever. When you're originally doing this, just do a finger tight. You don't even have to do that. You can do it just a couple of threads so that you have wiggle room to put all of this other stuff back. So this guy, we can do first. You can either do this one or this one first, and you can always do this guy last. He has the most flexibility. God, I got a ton of crap here. I swear, I could trip over the painted lines in the gym. So God. Yeah, it's weird. So let me see. I want to see what it looks like. I'm going right there. I want to see what it looks like with one of these hubs. It centers. I mean, it can't really go anywhere. I just want to see what it looks like depth-wise. Okay, so I have that little cusp, which is exactly what I have over here. Well, that's the other hub, I think. Yeah, that's the wrong one. Okay, so I need this guy. And that's what I'm looking for, is how deep he goes in there. And he goes in. Yeah, and then versus, you don't have that in there. Oh, crap, come on. Okay. Then he doesn't go He doesn't really
Not
go.
a huge one's not torqued up either.
Yeah, but if you get, I mean, he doesn't have to be torqued up. So I've got barely a fingernail, maybe 2 millimeters. So the difference then is
We have another shim.
it's barely anything. So the difference is minute. Jesus Christ, I have all this crap all over my hands. The problem is I know if I touch something else, it's going to get filthy. So I'm like, oh, hey, and yeah. So with this shim in there, I'm actually really far away. So I can probably do a 1 millimeter shim on this one. I think that's going to be the way to go.
Sure, don't go too big, and then the grease seal doesn't.
Correct. Yeah. Well, that's why we limited it to 2 mil. So we'll replace this one with a 1 mil. This socket no longer stays on. He has had a lot of use. So we'll take this 2 mil out. Oh my God. There's no, I'm trying to do this where you guys can see it, and I get my body into these weird positions. And of course, he's now stuck in there. Where's my, all right, I just need a pick tool. Get him out of there. Okay. Yeah, he doesn't sit. He wants to, he will center. But let me see that.
Maybe you stick him in the upright first.
Yeah.
Put him in the upright, and then he'll be centered that way.
Yeah. I just have to be careful not to knock him out.
Yeah.
And also, these shims have definite faces. This is the face towards the CV, and the face with the round, this has a rounded edge. This goes towards the hub. So actually, to be honest, it really, with this setup, it doesn't really matter because you have such pressure on both sides. You could run it the other way as well. And you've also got a very large mating surface here. So if he goes in,
The grease that's in that hub should automatically hold it in place.
no, it drops down actually.
A little bit of grease on it.
I have a little bit of grease on it. Gravity still wins. Yeah, as soon as I touch that, it's going to fall. So he has to be on the hub because then he doesn't fall. He stays centered on there. You know, as soon as he goes in, he gets centered. So, all right. All right, David, can you pull this out? Just so I'm just trying to do this where. Hang on. Okay. Yep. Oh yeah, don't slam it. My fingers are right there. Ow, fuck. Okay. Yep.
There you go.
There we go. Now we have our 2 millimeter distance. And I still have a ton of shit off my hands. This is how it works, man. And that's heavy duty bearing grease too. Oh, it's gnarly. All right. So now we have the distance that we want between the bearing and the between the upright and the dust shield. So yeah, now we're should be good to go. Now before, we would just finger tighten these. I just get it like hand tight, and you could not move the hub. It was really, really difficult, let alone putting any kind of necessary torque on there. So let's see where we get here. Now, hopefully, it still spins freely. Obviously, there's a little resistance from the transmission fluid and stuff and all that, but so we'll just put this stuff back together now. We have our, God, why do I do this? Sorry. I'm 6'1" and I spend most of my life crouching down for shit. Ow.
Then if it is,
It just trapped my finger.
then if it is too snug, you can monitor heat gun. Heat gun is snug.
Not really. It'll be.
If it starts getting hot,
There we go.
and the bushings on this car, and that will be preloaded. Yeah, modern.
God, I really hurt my finger. Where is my little Zoomer 17? Now, the nice part is I don't need a wrench for this. As soon as it gets to that point. Oh. Of course he slipped, right? Are you shitting me? There's still this stupid wrench in my pocket. Hang on. We gotta help some things out here. Where do we get? There he is. Better. Gosh. Okay, next one we'll do is our lower control arm, also called an LCA. Well, we'll go through all the suspension when Brian comes back up here. He has all of the torque specs. So this guy's a little bit different because he has a lot of twist in him. This guy has a lot of twist in him too. So when you're putting the bolts back in, you can kind of twist. You can move back and forth, up and down, and twist it, and that'll help get it back. The hell way does this washer go on? All right, he goes that way. He's a very, very flat-edged washer. Plus, we'll do a complete torque check before we load it in the trailer. So. But for now, we'll get it tight. And everything still moves, yay. So we're done with that. This is the hard part because we have separate pieces here. So we have to kind of wiggle and to make sure things stay up there. So we do first part with the bushing, and then move him into place. And then we do the second bushing, but you gotta leave enough room there because it's a really tight fit. Yeah. Ray, come back here. Yeah, I'll be back up in a couple weeks and we'll do final spec on all this and make sure everything's bolted down and all that jazz. So oh, come on, line up. You're in there. There he goes. There he goes. There you go. And that's the same thing. It's a in and out, up and down, and a little bit of wiggle, and you can find out. It'll smoothly pop that thing right back in. So we have our suspension and everything back together. Oh, let's see who's here. Hey, Juan. Hey, man, how's it going? We just finished doing the suspension. I'll explain it to you. The spacers for the CV joints on the custom axles that we have for our 1MZ in our 87 MR2. When I say our, I mean mine. Oh yeah, it's not a Mustang. Although I can see how with the suspension, you're like, hey, nice Mustang. It's actually,
it is made up.
it is. It does have the crowd marks of a Mustang. That happened at the last race, but yeah, it's 87 Toyota MR2 with a Camry V6 engine, 1MZ V6, and I had these custom axles made for the E153 transaxle. So the CV joints that I got from a company called Fabest, they were a little too deep, so I got shims for them, 1 millimeter and 2 millimeter shims that make up that distance. They make up that depth, and they get bolted in on the backside of the hub between the CV and the hub. So that's what I'm doing right here. Went pretty quick. Should we do the other side? The engine is not 400 horsepower. The engine is only 240, and our spare engine is a little bit over 240. So
Double than the OEM motor.
That's actually more than double of the original 4A GE, and it's 44 pounds lighter, even being a V6. So,
4A GE is
iron block, iron head. So, let's do the passenger side, just for grins. I'll bring you guys closer. So, excuse this. I'm trying not to dump the laptop. Yeah, the newer Camry stuff is actually really awesome. There's a lot of really, God, those cars look great too, which is terrifying, man. The tuxedo, the new Camry and the tuxedo paint job looks fantastic. Yeah. Sorry, I know that's loud. Are you heading out, David?
Yeah.
All right, David's heading out, you guys. Thanks for the help fixing the lock. I appreciate it. Actually, we'll do this since we have that socket on there. Oh, we don't need that socket. For this side, we are done with it. Yeah, those guys are coming over tomorrow night. So we're doing Thurman, Son of Thurman, and then we'll all be here. Oh, man. Yeah. That's a lot of torque. So like I said, we're taking off these 3 arms. And that will give us access. That'll give us enough room to wiggle out the axle so we can get that shim in there. If you don't have the shim in there, then you're going to have a bad time. It'll lock up right against the hub. The trans that I have in here is the E153. And I have that as a spare trans as well. There's a spare trans over here that's an E153 that we're going to put taller 3, 4, and 5 in. Maybe just 4 and 5, but with all of our extra horsepower and torque, it is going to be an awesome machine. With all that extra, if we can get a little bit more top end, I think this car can do 150, maybe 160 miles an hour if we did it all right. I should say all correctly. Okay. I'm going to leave that guy in there for now. And I'm going to leave that guy in there for now because I'm going to pull the tire off this side. It's kind of extra weight. We don't really need to move around. It comes off very quickly. I apologize for the noise. The wheels we run are 949 Racing 6ULs. They're 15 by 8 with a 30, I believe it's a 35 offset. They're wheels from my Miata. And we run a 205, and we run the Continental Contact Forces. They're fantastic tires. Highly recommend these tires. Highly. So we'll do our axle nut now too. I believe the cotter pin's already out of this guy. He is. So, like right now, he's totally locked up. And now he can barely move. And that's because the CV is up against the hub in here. So that's what we're taking care of. That is what we are taking care of. So we can take this guy out now and pull this control arm down. Remember I said on that side, he also twists a little bit, so you need to be a little bit careful of him. And this guy, we can also wiggle out. And he did have a captive nut on the other side. I thought, did I put it over here? No? I thought there was a captive nut for him. Oh, the captive nut is right there. We've already got the other nut. Okay, we're doing good. Air tools are awesome. I got to agree. At my shop in Florida, I don't have any tools there yet. And it's so hard. I have probably $500,000 in tools here. And I barely have pliers down there. It's difficult, man. This side, we're going to do one of the 2 millimeters. So I'm going to pull this. You can see the axle basically just, whoa, I forgot about our washer here. Our axle is basically going to fall out. Oh, I forgot. I got the emergency brake in the way there. Or the parking brake cable. There's one of our dust shields. It's supposed to stay up there. Damn it. All right. So now I got to figure out. Well, no, that dust shield just goes. Yeah. Yeah, he stays right there. He's just clipped in with that rubber. He just pops out. All right, and we have our 2 mil. These are our shims, and you'll be able to see where it goes. It's going to go over the CV, just like that. So, ow. Hopefully you guys can see that. It's going to stay hopefully pretty centered. This is part of the reason is we didn't drop this. Okay. So now that dust shield doesn't want to stay in that rubber ring, but he will as soon as we get this up there. He's going to stay put in there. Okay. Make sure the splines line up. Maybe. Wish there was a nice way to hold that shim in position, but there isn't. That dust shield. When I crank the axle down, that shield should actually stay back there. Yeah, he's going to. Okay. So now, this one's actually a lot deeper. This is very odd. I just noticed the shim depth on this, and I want to try something because I don't know. I don't know if this is enough depth. It is not. Okay. We have a problem with this hub. We do not have a problem with the CVs. There's a problem, I think, with this hub. Because if I do the 2 millimeter on that hub, it spins absolutely freely. I'll try it again. Just for testing's sake, I will try it one more time. Okay, so there is a 2 millimeter in there. There's our 090. And he does spin. Nope. He locks up. So I think we have a problem with this hub, which would also not be surprising considering the accident. So it was a pretty serious hit. And if the hub took the brunt of that, oh my God. Jesus. Don't get a magnet, Kev. All right. So let me try this. Wow. Okay. So I have my test hub right here. And I'm going to zoom him on really quick. Okay. He's on there. And now he's totally locked up. So it is a problem with the CVs. It is not a problem with the hub. Okay. So shim works on one side. Shim does not work on the other side. So like right now, the axle barely spins. But now I don't even have the CV in there. Yeah, we have a hub issue. We have a hub issue here. And I don't know what we have with the CVs. Damn it. So we're going to have to replace this upright with this upright. We have spare uprights, which is a good thing. But that's not what we wanted to do because we want this car running and driving. So that's a little disappointing. But that's also why you test this stuff out versus running and driving it. You run it and drive it and you burn it up in a race, and then you're totally screwed. What are you looking for the shims to do? They need to make up the distance on these CVs that we have. The distance is a little too great, so we need to shorten the distance. But the problem is, even shortening the distance on this damaged one does nothing. On that one, it works great. But since this hub is damaged, it's too far. We would probably need probably 5 millimeters of clearance, and that's not going to work because our shims, even if we did a 1 and a 2 millimeter, it's only 3 mil. I don't want to do any more pieces than that. If we did two 2 millimeters, that's 4. We're going to need a lot more than that just to get this thing rolling. But I think we have a damaged hub issue because I don't know. I'm guessing something happened. We had something happen to the lock, the trunk lock. So I'm guessing something happened also at this corner. And I'm trying to remember Craig's incident. He got hit in that corner, which sent him this way. So this wheel would have dragged, but we are still aligned, which is a good thing. So it's where's the problem? So what we'll do is tomorrow I will swap out this upright and still use this same CV and see if we can get that to work correctly, even with just a 2 millimeter shim. Yeah, the accident, it's not an alignment issue. It's a distance issue with the CV joint and the hub. So there's a dust shield, and then, well, you have the dust shield, and then you have the outer race and then the inner race of the hub. And what's happening is it's contacting the outer race before it's contacting the inner race. So since it's contacting that, it's also contacting the dust shield, and that's like a big disc brake, and it's not letting it turn. What it needs to do is only contact at the inner race. That's where it works really well. So the shims were to distance it so it would only contact at the inner race and it would not contact at the outer race. That's the theory. But what we have here is we have too much distance that we need to cover to make up. So using a thicker shim, even though that'll bring us out further, it's not going to be enough to clear. So that's why we have our spare uprights with the hubs already in them and greased and everything else. So that's the reason. Oh yeah, yeah. Florida's actually awesome. I went through my first hurricane, which was pretty cool. I shouldn't say cool. It was very interesting and it was a major learning experience. But yeah, it's Florida's awesome. It's way better than Ohio. I'm up here to get the race car going, to get the limo going, pick up my Viper, cruise back down to Florida. That's what I'm up here for. So, and to vote yesterday. I haven't changed my voter registration yet, so I wanted to make sure I got to vote. So, this is a little different than what I was expecting. I'll talk with Brian DePaul tonight and see if we can figure out what we want to do. If we're going to replace both rear hubs, The hell is on my face? Or if we're just going to replace, or both rear uprights, or if we're just going to replace the one. Um, we might do both and then see how quickly we can get new hubs put in. Because this had a new hub in it a year ago. 2 years ago, it had a new hub put in it. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is beautiful, man. By the way, Puerto Rico is also the only place with a natural rainforest in the United States. Not a lot of people know that. Yeah, Puerto Rico is fantastic. I have a bunch of friends from Puerto Rico. I've not been there yet. I would love to go there. One of my friends invited me in January to go for a week with. He's got some friends. He and his wife and a couple of their friends are going, and one of their buddies or someone's dad canceled something like that. And I don't have the time. I just bought a house in Florida, so I really shouldn't be screwing off to Puerto Rico for 10 days as much as I want to. But I'll definitely make it down there. That's a beautiful, beautiful part of the world. Yeah, I love the Caribbean. Turks and Caicos is my favorite place in the whole world. So once you clear Key West, man, it gets better and better and better. Yeah, very happy with that. I love the Bahamas, Puerto Rico, Bahamas, DR, all of it. So, damn it. Ah. Yes, this car fights me a little bit. It does not fight me like the limo does. Wait till the limo's in here. Every nut and bolt, man. Every nut and bolt. Oh, and yeah, by the way, the car is straight piped. And it sounds fantastic. A 1MZ straight pipe, beautiful, beautiful sounding car. All right, well, I think that'll probably do it for tonight. I'll get this stuff at least buttoned up. Yeah, you can see how you need to torque this a little bit, and it helps you when you put this guy back up in place. But all this grease that I just wiped off my hands is now all back in my hands. So we'll put all this stuff back up so we can at least roll the car if we need to. It's so funny. I keep saying we, when in actuality, it's just me working on all this stuff. It's pretty much by myself on this. So I'm going to zoom that on really quick. Well, at least put the suspension back together because it's pretty damn easy to do. There's the other one. Captain nut. Remember, folks, please start threads by hand. Please, please, please. You can zoom them all day later. But please start them by hand. Please. You're going to save yourself just a ton of time. Oh, you guys have good coffee down there too? I didn't know about the coffee. I'll be totally honest. I did not know about the coffee. I knew about the rum. Puerto Rican rum is absolutely famous. But I did not know about the coffee. And that's cool. I'm not a big hot coffee fan. I like the occasional, iced coffee, but I did not know about that. That's pretty cool. So suspension is now back together temporarily. That's how easy it is to do the suspension on the MR2. It really is those 3 bolts. So if you want to swap out an axle, 1 bolt, 2 bolt, 3 bolts, swing that out of the way. This side is a little more complicated because it has the not slave axle. What's it called? Uh, middle axle. God, I forgot what it's called. I'm stumbling for words here. But it has an intermediate axle, a carrier axle with the carrier bearing here, and then it comes to the regular axle. That side is just axle, spider gear, and CV. This is intermediate axle, carrier bearing, spider, axle, and CV. So it's a little different on this side. Basically goes together. All the suspension stuff goes together the exact same way. So at least it's all back together. It'll all roll. The wheels can go back on it. But we got to figure out, we got to find the combination that works best with CVs and hubs and go with those. And if we can't find that, then we have to get different CVs, which means we have to get different axles, which kind of sucks. Because new axles will be about $1,000 and it'll take about 10 days to get. We don't really want to do that. Really don't want to do that. Go to San Juan. Yeah, that's cool. San Juan's kind of the center down there, right? I'm going to move you guys back if that's cool. Just because it's getting a little cramped over there. Hey, Liz. Yeah, Juan's teaching us about coffee, Puerto Rican coffee. We already knew about the rum, but he's letting us know they have kick-ass coffee too. All right, sorry, I'm just doing some hand cleanup. That grease from the new suspension bushings is kind of gnarly, so. All right. God, that stuff's gross. Even after just a few hundred miles, that stuff is really gross. And I swear I had paper towels out here. Here we go. Damn it. I was really hopeful that these shims are going to be the correct answer for that. Brian and I worked out all the math too. We were jazzed about it, but that's okay. This is how we learn all this stuff, right? And when you're breaking new ground like this and you're doing stuff that no one else has done stuff like this. So guys who do these swaps with the E153, they get axles from Japan. They get it off the, what is it, 3S GTE drivetrains. And those cars were in Japan, so they have to order the axles from Japan. And the axles are considerably thinner. Ours are custom made by Mosier. They're going to do about 700 horsepower. They're pretty stout axles. So I'll have Mosier they have all the numbers and everything. I'll have them do another set, but with 23 splines instead of 24. The problem is it'll take a little while for them to do that. But it'll prevent us from having to use those shims, making sure they're lined up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there are benefits. But this is all the stuff, and people don't normally do this. Or they'll run an entirely different suspension on here. They'll run a SW20 suspension or something like that, and it doesn't even relate to this. or they'll have they've cut out firewalls so that the 1MZ fits in there better. We didn't cut any firewalls. This looks like it's a factory install. If you see the engine from the top, you'd be like, I swear that's factory. And they probably should have done that because this thing kicks ass with the V6 in it. So that's how that goes. I'm not too disappointed. It's, you know, it's one of those things. This car has tons of uniqueness, and this is just another one of those things. But also, once we do figure it out, it's going to be pretty awesome. It gets better and better every race we do. The car gets more and more reliable, and that the reliability makes us faster because we worry less. So since it's more reliable, we can push the car a little bit harder, and that's a good thing, I think. And we did get the key fixed tonight, which is a good thing. I can bring this down. It's gonna squeak. Sorry. It's winter time. Oh, it's actually fairly quiet. And there it goes. So now you get a little bit better view of the car. You can see where our little incident happened in Pittsburgh. This was from the other Toyota MR2 with the V6 in it at a pit race. He and one of our other drivers, Craig, got into a little fender bender about 50 miles an hour. And if I'm doing the math, I'm thinking about it in my head. This guy hit Craig, and Craig went off, but came back around, which would have pulled that suspension out. It would not have pushed it in. So I don't know if something could have happened to that hub during that incident. It was this pretty serious impact. So I don't know if anything happened. It was a hard enough impact to bend the seat bracket. Hard enough impact to break the trans mount, sheared the bolts off the trans mount, and one of the engine mounts, the OEM engine mount, it sheared it right off. So what do we got? Prefer the factory look? Yeah. Oh yeah, hidden trombone. There you go. PDR, we're way past PDR on this. This is actually pulled out, and then I just painted it really quick to keep the corrosion. I'm in Ohio, so corrosion happens immediately. As soon as you bring it home, corrosion starts and rust starts. So when this got hit in April, we got it. I went to my friend Joe's body shop. We got it pulled out about as far as we could without it ripping anything. It still ripped a couple of spots, but for now, it's hammering stuff out. And that's all we really need to do. But I got paint on here. I did a couple coats of just Krylon to protect it from corroding. So it doesn't look as bad with the paint on here, but it's pretty damn bad. Let me see if I put a light on here. Maybe it'll show up. Looking for you guys. It's kind of hard to tell, but yeah, it took a serious hit. You can see it on the back here too. I mean, it killed the taillights. So not the most fun, but that's okay. We get all this stuff fixed, right? Where the hell? How is this just charging and now there's no cable to charge it? What the hell, David? What the hell is going on? I just had a cable to charge it. Okay, there we go. So yeah, this is an awesome car. Yeah, it is still in one piece. This is actually our fifth engine. Um, we had two 4AGEs that did not work. Sorry, fourth engine. And then we had a 1MZ that one of our drivers money shifted on lap number 2 of the race. And so this is our fourth engine. This is another 1MZ out of Toyota Solara XLE. And then our spare engine is also out of a Toyota Solara XLE. And that engine's actually in really great shape. Nate Millison Engineering helped me build this one, and Nate's awesome. He did a fantastic job on it. This thing starts up and runs just beautifully. So no complaints on the engine, nothing like that. This is about a 5-year build. There's probably been 60 people that have worked on this car, and none of them got paid a dime. So a lot of volunteering, and then a lot of those people are racing with us. So that's kind of the benefit. They work on the car, they make it safer, they make it better, they get to race with us. So that's kind of a cool bonus. At least I think it is. This thing is fully caged, full fire suppression. It can race in 24 hours of lemons. It can race SCCA. It can race NASA, SVRA, HSR, and Champ Car. So we built it so that we could race in a whole bunch of different series and pretty much keep it running throughout, at the time, the summer, but now it'll be hopefully year round. Nope, nope, nope. We don't talk about Casey here. We don't. We don't talk about Casey here. No. Sorry, man. And please don't be fooled by that. Please don't be fooled by any of those guys over there. Please don't. Please trust me on that. I was friends with Casey for years, and that went away very quick. You, yeah, you don't want any part of that. Trust me. There's way better guys out there. I'm not saying I'm one. I'm saying there's way better guys out there. So, any of those guys with that group, you want to avoid. Trust me on that. I speak from experience. Yeah. Okay. We're all good. Yeah, there's tons of other stuff, other options. Definitely way, way, way better options out there. So yeah, that's about where we're at for tonight. Is trying to get that done. I thought Brian and Dakota were coming over tonight, but that's apparently tomorrow night after dinner. We're supposed to do a big group dinner, and then they'll be over here to do the anti-submarine belts, and then we'll figure out the bearings and the uprights and all of that stuff. So more testing tomorrow, and we'll find an answer to this. It is very odd because we've been running these CVs with these axles for 2 years and we haven't had any issues. Now, all of a sudden, after this accident, we start to have issues. So we're trying to figure out where all of that is coming from. So cool. Yeah, that's it for tonight, I think. We'll do it again tomorrow night. We'll have Brian DePaula be here and Dakota Wyman will be here. Two of the other drivers that we're going to be racing with in Road Atlanta. And so you guys will get to hang out with them. And they're both engineers over at Honda, and very, very smart guys, very meticulous guys. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. They're a little bit more reserved and a little bit more quiet than I am, but they're very, very meticulous. All the paint marks you saw underneath the car for all the torque settings, those are all from Brian. He does He does that on his Miata. He does that on his Civic. He does it on all of his cars. So I always love that. Just seeing those paint marks is like, oh, thanks God, someone checked it. So he'll be here tomorrow night. Dakota is super cool, great driver, and we're gonna do some touch-up stuff on the MR6, and then with any good fortune, we'll go and drive it once we figure out the hub issue. So I appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. Please don't forget to subscribe, and I'm going to be doing a lot more stuff when I'm down in Florida too. I've got a bunch of Miata stuff to do, and then I'll also have the Viper down there. So we'll do Viper stuff when we can. And I think that's about it. We'll have the limo in here this week too, and this weekend. Later on this weekend, we'll have the limo in here, getting it plumbed up and wired up so that we can run it and drive it. Also need to replace one of the airlines in it. So that'll be the first thing we do. So thanks everyone for hanging out tonight. I really appreciate it. And definitely spread the word. We'll keep doing all this fun stuff. And I love doing it for you guys. Don't forget, I'm not getting paid for any of this. YouTube doesn't pay me. Toyota doesn't, nobody pays me for this. This is all for fun and for teaching you guys and getting other people into racing. Hopefully they enjoy racing as much as I do. Yeah, that's it. Don't forget to show someone that you love them today. Give them a kiss on the cheek, give them a kiss on the tip of their nose, hold their hand, give it a squeeze. It's really important for them, but it's far more important for you. All right, thanks everyone. I will catch you. We'll catch you tomorrow. All right, have a great night.